where I was.
Lincoln's luck begins to change.
Whatever way you look at it, it was a very strange set of circumstances. I'd been left for dead, and yet, at one level, my mind was connecting. There was all this stuff still happening in my head, and it's all very vivid.
Determined not to die, Lincoln's subconscious begins to fight back. He starts to hallucinate.
It was a case of me rejecting death and insisting on life. And the way that was expressed to me was I was wearing a grey cloak, and that cloak was like a cloak, the cloak of death that was welcoming me, and I was wearing it. And I knew I had to accept the cold and whatever else was going to happen if I put that cloak away. And then I felt like a pilgrim, I suppose, someone who knows where they've got to go, doesn't know what the journey's going to be, but knows that's his only choice in life. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I'm so special that I can just decide I'm not going to die and not die. I had to believe that I wasn't going to die, because otherwise I would not have been able to face that impossible set of circumstances. The hypothermia, the hypoxia, the exhaustion, the dehydration, the cerebral edema. It was a death sentence, and I had to utilize everything that I'd learned over 3 decades of mountaineering.
Drawing on years of Buddhist meditation and yogic breathing techniques, Lincoln is able to remain conscious in spite of hypothermia.
Soon the sun came, and there was this amazing, life-giving warmth.
After 30 hours in the death zone at -25 degrees, Lincoln Hall should really be dead. Hallucinating wildly, he is in the final dangerous stages of hypothermia and is still a long way from safety. But his lucky streak continues.
There was so much good fortune. The most dramatic was the appearance of a team of 4 climbers who were heading for the summit.
Unlike David Sharp, who died 10 days earlier, Lincoln is fully conscious, moving around, and clearly visible to the approaching mountaineers. Climbing that morning is a team led by American guide Dan Mazur, with Jangbu Sherpa, Andrew Brash, and Miles Osborne.
I was kind of staring down at my feet, as you do, because, you're just so focused on one foot in front of the other. And I kind of looked up, and then I saw this kind of yellow kind of blob sitting up there on the ridge, and I was just completely dumbstruck. I didn't know what to think.
Hey! So what are you doing here?
We went up to him, and the first thing that he said was, "I bet you're surprised to see me here." And that was the thing that completely threw me.
When Miles and his party found me that morning, they were stunned to see that I had unzipped my down suit and was half undressed. There were 2 possible reasons. One is that I was rejecting the cloak of death, and the other is that I was in the final stages of hypothermia, about to die.
Up to 50% of hypothermia victims are found with their clothes off. It's called paradoxical undressing. When death is imminent, blood returns to the extremities in a rush, producing the sensation of a hot flush.
I don't think it even crossed anybody's mind until that point as to, well, would we go to the summit or not?
Who are you?
I'm Lincoln Hall.
We found a climber. He's saying his name's Lincoln Hall.
I was behaving erratically, not that I was aware of it. The first thing they did was to secure me to a rope.
I want to get off the boat.
At the time, he seemed to think that he was on a boat, and the one thing that he was desperately trying to do, frozen fingers and all, was to try and pull himself off the ridge there, to try and kind of disembark from the boat, which obviously wasn't the best of ideas at the time, because it was about a 10,000-foot drop.
We're on the boat. We're on the boat. We're on the boat.
Down at Advanced Base Camp, Kevin has had a bad night.
Yesterday was a horrible day. we lost two very good friends. Thomas in the morning, and then a hell of a day with Lincoln. Last night I went to bed, and I'll be honest, I shed some tears in my tent for them. I just couldn't believe that we lost two friends on the mountain. Today I woke up, and as you can see, it's a beautiful day on Everest. Went up to Alex and heard the news that that Lincoln is still alive. So Alex instantly launched a rescue, and currently these amazing guys from Nepal are climbing up there to hopefully bring our friend down.
Miles and his colleagues stay with Lincoln for 4 hours.
Just before we saw Lincoln, I firmly believed at that moment that there was nothing that could stop us from reaching the summit.
The time spent with him has meant their precious oxygen supply has depleted, and it's now too late in the day to continue. After years of saving to raise the $25,000 he needed for the expedition, it's all over for Miles.
I knew then that in my lifetime I was never ever going to get to the summit. I took one last look, took a picture, and then got down as fast as possible. I was so pissed off, I can't even tell you.
I know what it's like to turn back from the summit. I know that sort of huge burning sense of disappointment. And I do know that Miles felt that as well.
It took me 24 hours to get the perspective that in the big picture, everything had worked out fine. Missing the summit didn't bother me that much. Lincoln was okay. And I got so many emails from friends at home who had said, I don't know what I would have done if I'd read that you'd left this guy and gone onto the summit.
Base camp, do you receive, over?
Due to a radio blackout, Kevin is unable to transmit the good news.
Base camp, from ABC, over. His family believe he's dead, and yet the man is almost having a fist fight with the Sherpas that are trying to bring him down. It's almost comical if it wasn't so sad. Base camp, do you receive, over? Of course, we all know this up here, but his friends down at base camp are going through hell believing their friend is dead. And I can't tell them. Base camp, do you receive, over?
It's several hours before Kevin eventually gets through to base camp, and from there, the good news spreads around the world.
People in our office in Sydney saying they'd heard somewhere via the internet that they thought Lincoln might be alive. And my immediate response to that was, no, don't go there. Don't clutch onto that, given we'd just been through the trough of death. And then, until we found out for sure what was going on.
Well, I was just generally surfing the net. Someone emailed me a bunch of news links saying stuff about my dad.
And it had on the front page, Everest climber found alive. And it had a picture of Dad there.
It was stated as fact that he was alive. And so we breathed heavily for a while and thought we couldn't believe it.
After 36 hours of fighting for his life, Lincoln Hall makes his momentous arrival at Advanced Base Camp. He is exhausted and emotionally drained. Kevin Augello is there to capture the moment.
Where are the bloody filmmakers, eh, when you need them? I mean, I'm alive now. I got some more frostbite to add to my collection. It's good, really, because my kids have never seen fresh frostbite. So... You'll be so proud to have the flag there.
I almost left my children without a father and my wife without a husband. And had that happened, I could not even begin to think about forgiving myself. Which was why I just had to come back.
Yeah, hi there.
I only got the opportunity to talk to Barbara once I was down an advanced base camp.
So apparently I'm getting all yacked soon.
Lincoln's voice was so unrecognisable, faint, croaky, crackly, that I wasn't sure it was him.
Tell her you're well, come on.
Yes, I'm well. Everyone was saying I'm well, Lee, that's what I need to tell you.
She couldn't believe it was me, and what I did was I said, well, of course it's me. I hope you haven't started looking for another husband.
I thought, well, that really is, that's him.
This footage shows Lincoln finally reaching base camp. After 2 months on Everest, the expedition is over. 22 years on, Lincoln Hall has achieved his dream. But his greatest achievement was not reaching the summit, but getting down alive. His first priority is to find the Sherpas who helped save his life.
I just wanted to thank them so much for what they had done, because they really had risked their lives for me. If Pemba or any of the other Sherpas had died and I survived, would be the most dreadful outcome possible. It would just be the worst thing I can think of. Pemba was the only Sherpa that I was able to see as soon as I got down. He just kept telling me, don't worry, you're alive, don't worry, it's okay. And I think they were just so happy that what they had done had saved my life.
With the trophy of climbing Everest so highly prized, the 2006 season of death is unlikely to be the last. Lincoln Hall's return from the dead on Everest is a miracle. He should have frozen to death, but he didn't. He should have died from cerebral edema, but he didn't. His survival still eludes explanation by medical science, and it's something he's still coming to terms with.
One thing that's helped me to deal with that is the Tibetan Buddhist interpretation of the nature of death, which is that consciousness leaves the body, you know, in different stages, and there's 8 of those stages, and it's basically a shutting down, a bit like you do when you get out of your helicopter. You turn this off and you turn that off, and the whirring starts to go quieter and quieter. Well, I went through the 2 of those levels. I can tick 2 of those boxes in terms of consciousness leaving me. Now, the big question is, what caused the reverse? I just don't know.